Bring me birds with broken wings, men with all the answers, people who have killed. Give me incurable cancers. Bring me beaches slicked in oil. Give me disregard for doubt. Street lights shine on broken roads where no one is about. I want that hopeless green depression, punishments without a cause. Give me impotent obsession, disregard for laws. I want the trees in single file. Bring the corpse of something rare. Show me children who are sinners. Show me mounds of human hair.
So, Ben Caplan, thank you for taking the time. Hello.
My pleasure. Hello.
And how are you?
I'm doing okay. It's been a long drive day, but other than that, it's good.
Okay, so yeah, you're on tour right now. So how's the tour going so far?
It's going beautifully. I think tonight will be the 4th show in Germany, and the first 2 were sold out. The 3rd one was packed. It's been a great response from the audiences, so I'm quite happy.
Okay, so just to take that question before, where are you going next? What are the next stops in Germany?
Geez, good question. I think tomorrow we're in Hanover, and then after that we'll be in Munich or München, and and then we'll go to Wiesbaden.
Wiesbaden, yeah, that's right.
And then we go to Scandinavia for a bit. After that we'll go to Berlin, and then we finish our last German show will be in Schorndorf in the south.
Oh, okay. Nice. So you have a new album. What can people expect from the album, or what can people expect in general from Ben Caplan?
Well, I don't know what to expect from me in general, but I can at least talk about the album. So the record it's quite a large-scale production, we can say. I had a little bit of second album syndrome, and I was trying to make sure I could squeeze everything into the record to make it as exciting as possible. So there's a lot of different collaborations that happen. There's, I think, 33 different musicians that play on the record, a lot of different sounds, a lot of sounds from Eastern Europe, sort of Romanian, Moldavian sort of things like cymbalom and clarinet and violin, lots of these kinds of things. But then also there's some soul and some blues and some sort of Americana kinds of sounds. So it's a real mix of a lot of different influences.
You had a great variety of instruments also on the first album, but now on the second album you're increasing that.
Yeah, I think on the first album it was a much smaller crew and recorded in a much smaller period of time. There was just 5 musicians, and it was guitar, drums, bass, violin, clarinet, and saxophone. But now we've gone from there to a whole string section and a big horn section and lots of other strange instruments. So it's a bigger diversity of sounds. But then also we took almost like a hip hop approach to how we produced the record, and really getting people to improvise, and then spending days in the editing suite, sort of like using like a Glenn Gould technique to like find the perfect performances and really refining things in a very calculating way, but at the same time trying to maintain a sense of madness and things being just about to fall off the rails.
I was going to ask a question, if you're more the guy for the live experience, like performing on stage live, or more the guy for staying in the studio and like really crafting the songs. But you're kind of both. That's what I sense from the answer, right? Well,
I think I'm definitely more of a live guy. The studio thing is much less intuitive for me. It's also much newer for me. So far in my career, I've made 2 official albums. I've worked on some smaller projects as well, but I've performed 1,100 times, 1,200 times just with this project. So I've got much more experience with touring and performing live, and figuring out how to translate that in the studio still feels very new for me.
Did I get that right, that you have a background in theater in some way?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually quite funny because we're all theater students, not theater in practical way, but theater studies. But yeah, but so this theatrical approach is somehow can be seen in your live shows, I guess. Right? You're trying to play with the audience and all that stuff.
Certainly, yeah, and I think there's a certain aesthetic to the theater, a certain way of thinking about live performance that translates through. I mean, I try to think of myself in a certain sense as a director of a theatrical production, and to be considering the roles that different people are playing, the ways in which a gaze will direct the attention of the audience, and different ways of thinking about the stage as a performance space instead of just a recital hall.
There can also be some things that are not expected, right? So that can just happen, and that makes it quite interesting, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, for me, what's exciting about performing as a musician instead of in the theater is it creates a much broader canvas for improvisation and sort of responding to the moment. I think it's really important to be really present in the moment. I think with as many shows as I play, it would be easy to sort of like go into autopilot mode and like just let every show be the same as the last one. But I think it's really important to try to be fully embedded in the very specific show and not to be lamenting that it's not like some other show, but to be finding out what's beautiful about the weirdness and the individuality of each night.
I climbed up the mountain just to kill my son. An angel tried to stop me with a ram. Well, he said your mind's infected, but I said you lack perspective. You gotta walk the bottom if you wanna see the top. La da da da, 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 la da da. Give me poison I can swim in, water I can't drink, wheels that won't stop spinning. Teach my children not to think. I want the fruit that tastes like nothing, extra thumbs for every crook. But give me lessons without questions, a mild disdain for books. Give me metaphors unraveled, poetry defined. Bring me the head of Dionysus, but please don't spill out the wine. Trade the future for the present, trade me ashes for my history. I don't need to look inside, I know the answer to the mystery.
Where does well, we talked about the how your songs are, like every song, especially from the new album, is like constructed with many kinds of instruments and all that stuff. Where does that inspiration come from that you want to do that?
Well, I think it's just because I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. You know, I don't see myself as an artist within a particular genre or within a particular tradition. I just see myself as a writer and as a performer, and so I just try to let each song unfold itself in the way of its own choosing. And that dictates that I have to then bend my own comfort level and bend the approach for each song to try to honor what's at the core of each piece. So it's, you know, I think it's a symptom of being in the 21st century and having diverse, eclectic tastes in music.
And it's not just that you like to play with the instruments and how they all work together and really like go into that, but also the lyrics that you talk, that you see yourself as a writer. So lyrics are as important.
Lyrics to me are the most important. I mean, I am not a musician's musician. I don't know how to read music. I don't know how to write music. I know how to communicate music, and I know how to find the people to work with who can help to bring into the world the ideas that I have in my head. But the raison d'être for each song has to do with the lyrical content. And if I can't write words that I don't think are worth being sung every night, then I don't finish a song.
Waking up in a sea of enmity, could this be my last recourse? Will these men conspire to end me? Must I mount this feeble horse? Ride into the southern distance, leave behind this life I live. Shall I risk my own existence, or these words that must be said? Southbound as the wind blows past me, to the town I've left behind. Will this plague of hate outlast me? Will I find peace of mind?
So my last question would be, or my second last question, it's a little bit also for our cameraman here. He's also studying the history of art. And why did you choose the famous painting by Caspar Friedrich as the inspiration for your new album?
So I've always loved this painting. Of course, it's a famous painting. But when I look at that painting, to me, I see this image of man sort of at the pinnacle, looking out at this perfect vision of nature. It's a very romantic image, and it's got all kinds of heroism in it and broodingness, but it overall seems to be this triumphant image. And I wanted to toy with the image and twist it a little bit for the 21st century. So on the front cover, it looks more or less like a copy of the Caspar Friedrich painting. But if you open up the jacket, then you see that on the back side there's some smokestacks. And I wanted to introduce an element of pollution into the landscape, and to ask the question, is this a virgin mountain scene that we're looking at with the beautiful mist and the wanderer above the mist, or is it perhaps in 2016 the wanderer above the smog? So that subtle twist and that little question is, I think, at the center of a lot of my writing. I want there to be just like a little subtle twist that asks the audience to think about it and to draw their own conclusions. And so I just thought that was a nice icon to play with.
Yeah, I mean, like how, as you explain it, if you open it, then I really like the idea as you explain it. Thing is that we couldn't know because, since the album is not out, no one of us has the album in the hand, right?
These are the limitations.
Yeah, and also the limitations of Spotify, actually, because we listen to your album on Spotify and there you only have the front cover. So
right.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. What do you wish for the future, for yourself or?
Not to have to drive. I just drove 6 hours today, so I'm pretty tired.
Good luck tomorrow if you're going to Hanover.
No, I know.
With the weather outside, even it's snowing.
Oh yeah, and then from Hanover to Munich, or to München.
Oh
well. I mean, in a sense, I've already accomplished everything that I ever wanted to do. I get to perform every night. I get to perform to hundreds of people in dozens of cities across the world. And, I would be foolish not to remember that before I knew what I was doing, this is all my dream looked like. And so, in a very real sense, I've already accomplished all of my dreams. In another sense, I'm exhausted and I can see the ways in which it could be a little bit easier and to grow a little bigger in time and to be playing to more people, to have a little more luxury in my life. There's always something just a step ahead. So my fantasy is to get one step ahead, and simultaneously my fantasy is to be content with exactly where I am at all times. So that's all.
Okay, so we wish you all the best for that.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for the interview.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I climbed up the mountain just to kill my son. An angel tried to stop me with a ram. When he said your mind's infected, but I said you lack perspective. You gotta walk the